My name is Gordon Gunn, and I will be giving you a tour of my empire called the Gunn Empire. This empire was first created in 800 AD when Middle Eastern tribes were united by Babuk Temujin, who then conquered this moderately populated empire by force. It lasted until approximately 1291 when it was reconquered by the Christians during the Crusades. Its demise was also greatly weakened by the bubonic plague. The Gunn Empire dominates most of modern-day Saudi Arabia. However, for demonstrative purposes, we will be taking a look at the northwest coast, specifically the port city of Tabuk, near the modern-day Gulf of Aqaba. This presentation is a snapshot of the Gunn Empire as it was during the years of approximately 1100 to 1300 AD. The total population is approximately 1 million, 25% military and 10% slave. Although my society is ethnically diverse, as there are African slaves, European merchants and bankers, and Middle Eastern citizens, it is religiously unified by the Muslim faith. Here is a traditional mosque that would have been used daily by Muslim priests and shamans. The public also had access to it if they were wealthy enough to afford it. Typically, these people were owners of large manors and fiefs. At the seat of government is me, the dictator. I live in this wall-protected, guarded, and elegant palace built by slaves. Obviously, this palace is quite the architectural feat. And therefore, in order to finish it, I had to acquire almost 100,000 slaves by conquering and expanding into the Middle East and North Africa. I also had to train and hire skilled architects by founding highly selective education centers such as this one. This right here is a typical school for the elite in my empire. But there are also schools like this one for less wealthy men. Women did not typically receive education because men in society viewed their main job to be childbearing, household chores, and raising strong men. It was a milestone when a girl was married, as now she could raise more men that could possibly become political figures. For the materials for building such structures in my empire, there is an abundance of sandstone in this region of the world, so that was easy to acquire. However, I had to order slaves to excavate a quarry and mine stone and iron from it to make the walls and foundation of the castle, as sand is a very difficult material to build on. There's also a nearby forest off in the distance. There's also a nearby forest where thousands of trees are cut down each year by laborers and used for building purposes. So there's part of the forest. It's loading right now, but it's over there. And then also, because every building project takes millions of gallons of water, I purposely chose this location along the Red Sea for the capital of my empire. However, with this prime location comes various threats. For one, I had to create a strong economy by making alliances with wealthy empires along the Mediterranean, and make a controlled currency that was synced with the ones in Italy and Greece, which were the headquarters of banking and trade in this area, so that I could pay for this large standing army and outstanding navy. Each one of these villagers represents approximately 500 soldiers. Therefore, my standing military, not counting private armies that protected fiefs and farmlands, consisted of approximately 250,000 men. Each of one of these small navy ships, over here, represents 40 ships. However, only 3 docks are taken right now as the other ships are at sea. This ship here is a replica of one of the battle ships shown at the port, just at the larger scale. So here's the sail, there's the flag, the colors of my city, the oars. This right here are the quarters where the captured slaves and war prisoners would sleep and be housed, and this is storage for goods. And then when other ships brought goods, like trading goods, to my city, they would come here to the trade center. Each one of these stands would be owned by a merchant, and typically his family. The merchants would make up merchant guilds, which would be collectively taxed in order to pay for the costs of having an army and navy. This over here is a blacksmith shop, one of many other trades that would be present in my city, and that's for metallurgy. So far, I have shown you mostly the elite class and the soldier class's role in the society. Now we will go to a typical middle class or lower class / labor class role. Here is a domestication of animals example. Here's a animal farm here. Along my empire is also a system of aqueducts that you can see as we are going to the farm. Some farms start the domestication of animals such as sheep, cows, and chickens. Most of these animals are used for personal goods such as food and clothing. However, a portion proportional to and defined by the family's annual income is sanctioned off by the government to go to trade centers and be distributed around the world. This is my way of taxing farm families. Another form of a farm is a fief, where a tax-exempt entity leases their land over to a farm manager who owns slaves that work the land for them, while the land is protected by a small standing army, shown here. There are normally about 1,000 to 2,000 slaves working each fief, and almost 50% of all food in my empire comes from fiefs like these. Obviously, people have to keep clean. There are several bathhouses spread across my empire. There are also nice parks and courtyards. So here's a bathroom / bathhouse. Very nice. And a fountain. And then in the distance here is a courtyard where people can spend their time during the day. For entertainment, people spent time in parks like these and also took part in athletic games that come around every year called the Gordonian Games. And the stadium off in the distance would be where those are held. As for the arts, Saudi Arabian painters would usually paint in the Renaissance style, and this form of painting was attributed to trade with the Italians. There we go. Yep. And lastly, my entire empire is guarded by this stone wall that represents a giant wall that would span across the entirety of my empire. And on the outskirts, there are obviously enemies. So here's our barbarian outpost that frequently attack, but lose. So that is my empire.